If you have a hard time with boundaries, how might your life be different if you could say no as easily as a joyful yes? I'm Love Coach Mariy, and for over a decade now, I've been encouraging folks to empower their compassion so it's big enough for ourselves as well as others, and so our boundaries can become healthier than ever. You're listening to Empower Your Compassion, and on this show, we'll be unlocking transformative insights to help you reconnect to your true yes, so you can say no from that more expansive energy and get more of what you want in your relationships and your life without sacrificing your compassion. Are you ready for more love? Let's grow. It's a new year. Are you into the new year, new you vibe? I actually really love the approach of, personal growth, not being so much about becoming a better version of you, but rather getting better at being you. And one of the things I love to do towards that end is to pay attention to my internal red flags. We all know about red flags, especially in dating, things that we look for in other people that can indicate to us, something that might not be a good match. And I'm not here to argue that. I think that it's handy to have an awareness of your green flags and red flags and when assessing other people, whether it's for dating or friendship or jobs or whatnot. But it can also be really helpful and empowering to have some internal red flags as well. And let me explain what that means. By building up a practice of self-awareness, which, by the way, must be coupled with non-judgment. Otherwise, you're going to start to notice a lot of your shadow self that you might not like too much. And if you bring judgment to it, it's just going to keep those patterns stuck. So awareness without judgment is really a magical recipe for transformation that not only doesn't require force, but is actually impeded by that forceful energy of like, I judge this as bad or wrong and it shouldn't be here. And, I like to say, let's not shit on ourselves. So with that framework in mind, one of the things that we can bring some awareness to is traits or experiences or vibrational frequencies that come up within us in certain interactions that are not aligned for us. And that's what those experiences are indicating. Let me give an example. And this has come up in a variety of types of relationships, but if I notice myself getting defensive, like I feel like I have to over-explain my meaning. Of course, when you're getting to know someone, you might have to explain a few things because you don't have the personal background and the larger context. But if it gets to a point where it feels like you're over-explaining, and especially when the energy of that is that you are like defending your goodness, like it feels like they're misunderstanding you and that they're interpreting you in a bad light. And so you feel like you need to explain it, not just so that they understand you, but so that they see you as a good person. I'm not saying anything about that person or even that behavior. I'm just saying that for me, it doesn't feel good when I'm doing that. And therefore, my assessment of any sort of pairing that brings that behavior out of me is probably not an aligned pairing. I'm not here to fix myself. In fact, I had a friend who I would often end up apologizing for offending her unintentionally. And then I would walk away from that trying to figure out, what I did wrong, how I can maybe make an adjustment and, prevent something like that in the future. But after several instances like that with her, I took a step back and I noticed that I have lots of other friendships where I don't do that repeatedly. I don't have that experience with these other people. Now, granted, if that was something that I was encountering with like everyone I interacted with, that might be a me problem. But the fact that, all of my other friendships don't have that, except for a couple others that turned out to be kind of toxic friendships. And I'm not saying that those people were toxic, and I'm not saying that this friendship was toxic, but it did clarify for me that it's a dynamic that I don't want to invest in, because I don't think it's something that I need to fix about me. And it's certainly not something I want to try and fix about her either, because I ultimately, I don't believe that fixing is loving. So trying to fix me is not very self-loving, and if I were to try and fix her, that wouldn't be very loving either. I think that it's best to change dynamics, not people. And so I just sort of dialed back on my involvement in that friendship. And I still wish her well. I still think she's an amazing human, and I have nothing negative to say about her. It's just that I think we weren't really aligned as friends. So that's kind of a belabored point to clarify what I'm saying about internal red flags. So for me, that type of like defending myself or feeling like I need to fix myself or apologizing for offending someone when if I step back and look, I don't feel like I was doing anything outside of my own standards, then that's an internal red flag for me that just indicates that it's not an aligned match. Now, on a related but sort of deeper level, in the romantic realm, as it turns out, in an interaction with someone new that I was dating and exploring, getting to know, I shared some excitement, and then he like tried to temper it, and that's fine. Like, so much can come up in the early stages when you're still getting to know each other. A lot of old fears and wounds can come up and all kinds of things. The red flag, the internal red flag, though, for me that happened was twofold. First, I noticed my habitual response of sort of shrinking, like, oh, I did something wrong. Yeah, let me fix it. Let me fix me so that I can fit into this box that I perceive as being created here. And then so once I noticed that internal red flag, I shifted and I was like, oh, no, I'm not going to fix me. But now I'm going to fix you. And so then I went into another internal red flag for me, which is it's still fixing. Like I shifted from fixing me to fixing them. And so I was kind of trying to adjust, by clarifying my boundaries. Like, well, hey, this is what I'm available for and what I'm not. And it worked out fine. But my next plan of action, that interaction smoothed out, but I was still a little bit steamy about it. I was like, I need this. I'm going to have to be careful here because, I don't want to go abandoning myself. I promised myself I wouldn't be doing that. So I'm going to have to find a way to fix him. And we're going to have a lengthier conversation about what's acceptable and what's not. And you know what? Thank God for good friends because they're so important in life, in, the quality of life, having a fulfilling experience of life, and also for healthy romantic relationships, you have to have really strong, healthy friendships too. And anyway, this good friend of mine helped me. I don't know that she was intending to remind me. I don't know that she knew that this was actually a value and a hashtag relationship goal of mine, but I want to practice replacing my fixing impulse with just vulnerability. And I think I didn't really notice it because I was imagining that would be a scenario for full-blown relationships rather than those kind of early dating stages. So it didn't connect in my mind. Plus, I just haven't had much practice with it yet. And she pointed out that when we try and fix people, they can then become, kind of insecure and worried that now they can't really be their authentic selves. And it can just have a lot of, unintended consequences and can kind of backfire. And I was like, oh my gosh, yes, of course. I know that. Thank you for reminding me and helping me shift into just an entirely different framework. And this is one where what I consider more ideal is to just, if I could go back to that scenario, instead of shifting from fixing me to fixing him, I could have just caught myself and said, oh, I'm noticing that I'm having an impulse. I'm feeling like I'm doing something wrong, and I'm feeling like I need to fix myself to adjust myself to you, and that feels a little bit self-abandoning. But what came up for you in that exchange? And granted, that could be a little bit vulnerable at an early stage, and maybe none of that's necessary. Maybe at that stage, it's just a matter of doing that self-check-in and just being like, oh, I notice that I'm trying to fix myself, or and now I'm trying to fix him or something, and maybe we can just be, and we can see where the next interaction leads us without having an agenda. Ultimately, a lot of these internal red flags are basically faulty coping mechanisms. And especially that fixing impulse, it's really an attempt at control. Like, we're trying to control a situation that we don't have control over, because let's be honest, we don't actually have control over anything except maybe our thoughts. But it's certainly a comforting illusion to think that we have lots of control, and fixing can be an attempt at control. And I think that the alternative is self-trust, knowing that you're committed to not abandoning yourself. And this is actually kind of almost like a circular situation, because by staying true to your authentic alignment in practice over time, that helps demonstrate to your nervous system and your inner child that you're not going to abandon yourself. And that builds up that self-trust, so that in situations that can be a little bit triggering or scary, you have that confidence that you're not going to abandon yourself. And so that reduces the need to control the situation through fixing. But I'm curious about you. What are some other internal red flags that you might have noticed within yourself? I know a couple other ones for me are urgency. If I have a sense of urgency, and it can be positive or negative, like, oh my gosh, that was so exciting, I need to see them again right now, or I need to talk to them again immediately, or that type of like, we can't lose this momentum, or I don't know what it is, but that urgency, even in that positive direction, can get you really high on fantasy, and then that's a really nasty come down. Or there can also be the downside scary urgency of like, oh my God, it's been 3 seconds and they haven't texted. I need to hear back immediately. That type of anxiety is also kind of an internal red flag for me. And depending on the larger context, that red flag can be interpreted as either this is just something that I need to center and self-soothe and work through, or maybe this person is, repeatedly bringing this out of me, and therefore maybe it's not a good match. So there's obviously more context and elements of the scenario that can come into play in terms of sort of interpreting the red flags. But the point is that it's really, really empowering to bring that awareness inward and notice what comes up within you that you don't like, and how that can be an indicator of maybe a misaligned pairing that you don't want to invest in. Ultimately, I've found that one of the biggest ways that we get ourselves in trouble is with this notion that we have to fix ourselves, that we have to contort ourselves, become better versions of ourselves, or shapeshift in such a way that will help us earn love. And there's a larger pattern at play there, which is recreating our formative environment that, for whatever reason, led us to believe that love is earned. And in fact, we even get that message from money is earned. And I'm willing to bet that at least a good portion of whoever's listening to this is like, what do you mean? Of course money is earned. But the truth is, all forms of energy, which love and money both are, have nothing to do with being deserving. How many, frankly, assholes are loved and adored? How many people who've never lifted a finger in their lives are wealthy beyond imagination? Maybe they're just born into it. Like, money, love, energy, these things just flow in the universe. They're as abundant as the sun's rays. And the only thing that blocks it is our belief that we're not worthy. It's not about being worthy. I'm not here to tell you you are worthy of love. I'm here to tell you that it's not about that. Because the idea that you have to do something to earn it is what's convincing you that you don't deserve it. And that's what's blocking you from it. You are blocking you from it because you, on a subconscious level, which is where all of your energetic frequencies come from, believes that you're not worthy of it, that you haven't earned it yet. And so anytime it comes in, you just deflect it back out. Again, it's all subconscious, but, and this isn't any way to shame. This is a very human thing, especially in, the society that we live in with the conditioning that most of us have received. So I think for a new year, new you, the idea is to just shed the ideas of deserving love at all and let go of this idea that it needs to be earned so that you can just start receiving it. It takes work, though. It's not an easy thing to undo all of this programming and conditioning that runs deep. You can create these cognitive grooves in your mind and your belief systems, and it takes a while to start building different neural pathways. And it can especially be really challenging because the mind doesn't really like change. There's a part of your brain that is designed specifically to keep you from changing because, heck, if that path we took yesterday didn't have a saber-toothed tiger on it, why try something different? Even though it was covered in brambles and we got all cut up, we survived, so let's just stick with the status quo that didn't kill us. But, there's another part of our brains that really thrive on change and growth and development and novelty and new things. And so there's a lot of conflict between those two elements that we have to deal with on a regular basis. And one of the things that can be really, really handy for overcoming that conflict and that push and pull internally is someone outside of you to sort of mentor you through it and help see your blind spots, because your mind can play all kinds of tricks on you when you're trying to do something different. The mind prioritizes the familiar, even if it's unsafe. If it wasn't fatal, let's stick with the familiar. And so when you try and go into something unfamiliar, even if it's more safe, the mind will still prioritize the familiar. So it takes a bit of discomfort, and it takes a lot of awareness. Being embodied helps with this immensely. But to be able to discern safe from unsafe discomfort, because I know for me, I have definitely doubled down on discomfort that was actually unsafe, but I thought it was for my growth and healing, but it was actually just like a new level of recreating problematic patterns. So again, having that sort of outside mentorship and guidance or coaching can be really helpful on that journey of transformation and shedding all of the things that aren't you, because again, the best version of you is the most you. And so it's my contribution to the more loving world that I want to live in, and as my most authentic expression, I'm offering a one-on-one coaching program to help you through this transformation. Clients who work with me feel seen and supported. They gain transformative insights into themselves, their patterns, and their power. They learn what boundaries actually are and how they can identify and protect their own limits without having to be mean. They learn how boundaries differ from needs and how to get those met too. They learn practical communication techniques that put them at ease and lead to more productive conversations in all of their relationships. They learn what's their responsibility and what's not. They discover that they can be boundaried and still be kind and connected. And most of all, they find that they can just love even bigger with these new insights and tools. So to help make sure that 2026 is your year of love and freedom and alignment and abundance, go to explorelovingboundaries.com to book your Better Boundaries Breakthrough Call with me. And I can't wait to support you. While you're here, please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. And Happy New Year.